Okay, so we're here once again in Sword Factory, and today I thought I'd show you guys some of the best methods on how to kill bosses. So there's a couple out there that I know a lot of people will use, and today this video will kind of just show you some of the best ones to use in different types of scenarios. So I'll mostly be showing these on the training dummy thing over here, but I will have to show some out in the Island of Noobs and stuff like that as well. So let's just go straight over it. So these don't really matter if your sword is that powerful or not. As you can see, this one gives me quite a lot of health, and I'm pretty sure it does like 14 billion damage, 19 billion damage even. So this one's still fairly strong. So I'll probably be showing it off with this one. This one only does around 6 million, which is probably more common for a lot of the lower players and stuff like that. And obviously some of the higher players will have things like 600 million, and obviously beyond that we'll have like a lot more. So I will just show off using some weaker swords and things like that, and just to kind of give everyone a fair chance. So the first tactic, and the tactic that I use the most common, is kind of just the swiping method like this. So as you can see, if you are in like shift lock like I am now, or if you're in first person, obviously your perspective follows your mouse, and that means when you are going back and forth, you basically can hit your sword on the noobs without actually swinging it. So if I do quickly go over to it right now, as you can see, without swinging my sword, it still does hit. And if I go back and forth like this, as you can see, it starts giving some damage. Now, if I do just sit here and click away, obviously it does a lot of damage, but it's only showing about 5 or 6 times. However, if I do basically come up to it and start swiping a load, as you can see, a lot of damage is being done. So this is basically a good method if your sword is basically strong enough to give you a lot of health. That basically means that the noobs aren't exactly hitting you. And this is probably the good technique to use if you are killing things like unique bosses, exotic bosses, and supreme bosses, and you have quite a lot of health, such as like 2 trillion, 3 trillion, and things like that. I would definitely recommend using this technique, because as you can see, you then start dealing a lot of damage. And if something has like 10 trillion health, as you can see, like right now, the health is going down a massive amount, and it's a really good way to kill something. So that is basically my most common method, especially if I have things like a lot of health and stuff like that. Another method that is going to be shown off in the actual bosses area is basically letting them climb on top of your head and hitting them that way. So if I do quickly come into here right now, as you can see, these things are going to start chasing me already. I'm just going to have to kill these real quick. But if I do just get one following me, hopefully it doesn't die straight away. Yes, of course it does. I need to find something that's got a lot of health that's not going to instantly die. Hopefully there is something around here. But basically, once things do start catching up to you, what they start doing then is start like jumping and trying to climb on your head for whatever reason. I'm not too sure. But basically what that does then is when they jump on your head, they can't attack you whatsoever. I don't think any of these... But as you can see, well, that one there, or as you can see, this one here now is trying to jump on my head, and it has actually done that. Now, obviously, I'm not going to swing my sword, but basically, what this does, especially if you've gotten a boss that is going to be hitting you quite a lot and taking off quite a lot of your health, this way, when they're up here, this means that they can't hit you whatsoever. And if you do start swinging your sword, you can also do the same technique as before, as going back and forth like this. But once you start swinging your sword, you will basically start taking off a lot of damage from them, but they will not be taking any damage from you whatsoever, which is a really, really good method, especially if you are even still a higher player, going for things like neon exotics or shiny uniques and things like that. That way they will be doing a lot of damage. However, when they're on top of your head, they're not hitting you whatsoever. You're hitting them. It is a little bit slower than the normal swiping technique when they are just on the floor. However, that way you're not exactly in a risk of dying, and you're basically still killing them at a really similar rate, still slightly fast. However, that way you're not taking off any health whatsoever from yourself, and you're still doing a lot of damage to them. So that way you're basically doing a lot of damage, and you're still safe. And then the last technique, which is probably the most common technique and probably the thing that most people do, is, let me just see if I have a normal sword around here that's not exactly going to let me die. I feel like this one's going to definitely kill me. But right, okay, we're just going to switch back to my health sword. But basically what you can do is, say you have a boss that has got a lot of health, and you basically don't have a lot of health yourself, and you aren't exactly doing that much damage, but you are prepared to do the fight for quite a while. What you can do is do the same swiping technique like so, killing them like so. But as you can see, once your health starts going down, what I would recommend is finding something like this. Oh, there's an avoid there. Finding something like this. Obviously, that one's not quite that good. But what you can do is find like kind of somewhere that's basically you can climb up, but they can't. So what I'd recommend is something like this. Just bringing them over to the edge like this, and then you can jump up on top of their heads, and then you can just sit here then and rest. They can't get on top of here because they don't exactly jump on top of themselves. And then this way you can regenerate all your health without basically needing to worry. And then once your health is all regenerated, you can jump straight back into it, just give it a nice good old swipe. And obviously I'm killing a lot of things there. But then you can go straight back to fighting and using your swipe method. I'm trying to see which void, maybe one of these two. Anyways, yeah, basically you can do basically that. Come on top of here. You can do this in any world as well that has like a really good place to jump on top of. Maybe this thing here will probably be really good. If I do quickly try and get some more of these to come follow me. This way you can easily jump on top of it. However, as you can see, from this side, obviously they can, but from this side, they're not exactly jumping. Get away from me. This side, they aren't jumping up. So it's a really good method. You can also stand on top of their heads as well. And if you do have quite a big group of them, if I do quickly try and get a slightly bigger group of them, you can start like kind of surfing on top of them, like so, and you can sort of direct them, but then again, they do try and obviously climb on top of your head if they are very close. But yeah, that is basically some methods. I would always recommend using the swiping method like so. This way you can just basically take off the most damage. However, if you don't have a lot of health, I would basically recommend letting them climb on top of your head and like so, and then that way they're not exactly doing any damage to you, but then you can obviously turn around and give it a good old swing using the same swiping method. It is a little bit slower, but that way you are safe. And then also the method of kind of just walking backwards, doing the swiping method, and then when you lose a little bit of health, climbing on top of something that they can't climb up, and that way you're safe, and regenerating your health and stuff like that. So yeah, that is basically more or less the video. If you guys have a different technique on how to kill bosses, let me know down in the comment section down below, and I will review them, I'll test them out, and maybe I'll make a part 2. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.